Okay, there we go. Okay, people, before Gina starts, I had this microphone down and I was ready to do the show. And what do I get? I get no heavy breathing on the show because I can hear you breathe. I can put my microphone up and sound through the. So, hi guys, I'm not heavy breathing tonight.
It's not that kind of show. But we are back. We haven't been here for a little bit because we've been doing some events and such. So now we're getting back on track. Tonight's definitely a different type of show for us, but I think y'all going to enjoy it. I think we need this right now, not only politically speaking, and seriously, mark my words.
We don't do politics.
Okay, so we're going to be
Canadian.
Yeah, a little more political. Hi, John. Okay, welcome to the show. Let me play the bio video for our guest, and then we'll get him on here, and then we'll start. Okay?
Okay.
This week in the Fox and Gina B and Mama D, we welcome Dr. Paul Zeitz. Drawing from over 35 years of advocacy, campaigning, and political movement leadership, Zeitz is the initiator of #Unified Movements, a movement-building platform dedicated to catalyzing new, love-centered social, economic, and political systems committed to our collective repair, justice, and peace. As a new movement, #UnifyUSA was launched in 2023 as a peaceful revolutionary political movement to co-create a new United States 2.0 through urgent constitutional renewal. #Unify Movements is a new interpartisan social and political movement calling for constitutional renewal and co-create a next chapter with a love-centered United States. Revolutionary Optimism is Dr. Paul Zeitz's mission, guidance, and call to action. Simultaneously, he has launched #Unify, a revolutionary movement-building effort dedicated to catalyzing new love-centered social, economic, and political systems for collective repair, justice, and peace in America. Dr. Paul is calling for unifying people-powered movements by mobilizing more people of all types to rise in peaceful resistance to the status quo. He offers an open invitation for all faiths, ages, races, genders, classes, and political parties everywhere who desire to hold a vision and create a love-centered US 2.0. To learn more, you can go to www.unifiedmovements.org, and we welcome you, Paul, and everyone to the Fox Den.
Hi there. Welcome to the show, Paul. You don't mind if I just say, do you want me to call you Dr. Paul, or can I just call you Paul?
You can call me Paul, yeah. I've been called anything, so really.
You've been called worse things than that.
Yeah, I've been called much worse, so.
We don't want to call you anything worse. But welcome to the show. And now this book was, you can see there, Revolutionary Optimism. I have it on PDF, otherwise I would be holding up the book. I can hold up the paper that I printed out.
There you go.
I have a bunch of things that I did.
There
you go. So the book is really quite interesting. You know, people would think, I thought when I first saw it that this was going to be a complete political thing, and it's really not. I mean, this what you've done here and what you've created, not even what you created, is what you're putting forth. It's something that was kind of already out there, but you're condensing it to something that we can actually all do to start a movement, you know, be it whatever the reason behind it. But I want to ask you, and I have a list of questions, and I really actually like them. So I'm going to start with number one on this list. And what inspired you to write Revolutionary Optimism, 7 Steps for Living a Love-Centered Activist? And what do you hope readers will gain from it? I just like that question.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you on the Fox Den and to share about Revolutionary Optimism with you and your listeners. So thank you for that opportunity. I wrote Revolutionary Optimism as a handbook for these times, where I believe that humanity is going through a passage right now. We're going through a major revolutionary transformation, and we're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads in terms of Will we just succumb to the path of destruction and suffering that is already underway with great velocity? Or will we choose, and this is the big we, choose to an alternative option, which is peaceful revolutionary transformation that puts love at the center of our society and everything we do, and allows us to unlock our political imagination and recreate our social, economic, and political systems, right? Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
We try and throw
So I just felt like I got to this point in my life. I'm a grandfather now, and I'm looking at my grandkids, and I'm thinking about like what is their future that I'm leaving behind,
Mhm.
and I get pretty depressed and hopeless and cynical, and so I realized over the course of my life that I have the choice to generate myself with optimism.
Mhm.
And I realized that I'm a revolutionary. Yeah, like I really want bold, transformational now. Like I don't want to wait anymore. And so I kind of combined it. And 2022, I started working on this, and I realized then 2024 was going to be an epic year of peril and possibility. And I think I underestimated it.
Yeah, you think? I'm like, this what a perfect timing you have coming out with this, because we are the globe is in chaos, let alone the United States. I can't even. I've said it, and I've said exactly what you said about my grandson. I'm like, I'm glad I'm at the end days of my life. I'm glad I'm at the latter part, because this world is just blown apart. I can't take it. And I have the defeatist attitude today. It will be gone by tomorrow.
This book is perfect for you.
Exactly. I said, that's what I was saying to Mama D before the start. I said, I got to implement some of these things that are in here.
We got to go, as I call it, retail therapy shopping afterwards and get the book, because both Gina and I like to actually have it, but Gina normally gets the books. I don't, because I'm all the way up in Canada, and it costs an arm and a leg to go fly Canada Post.
Yeah.
It's Gina's like, okay, you got to get this book. We got to read this. So, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Great.
She got the PDF.
Great.
No, I have the PDF. It's just I don't like sitting at the computer and reading. I like to have a book and go sit in my nice comfy chair and read, and then I can take notes and I can do whatever. So now I have, stuff like everywhere, because I don't know.
Because
but I tried. It's been a hectic couple weeks, so you gotta kind of bear with me. I've had kind of a day. And I do have little notes.
Lasted a year and a half.
Yeah. But these, how do I even start with this? All right, we'll do that. Just give our listeners, right, and the readers, hopefully, that we'll get an overview of what they're going to see in this book, because I do like the way that you set it up, and the steps to how you can do all this stuff. There's examples, there's this, there's that, stories.
Yeah, I really wrote it as a handbook. It's the kind of handbook I wish I had when I was 10 or 20 or 40 or even 60. I would have taken it. It's like a lot of opportunity for healing and transformation within it. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's stories of people that I know, or my own stories, or famous people, or movement leaders from around the world. There's a wisdom and research, and that's what we know now about how everything actually is working. And then there are practices. I'm Dr. Paul Zeitz, so I have RXs and
yes.
They're prescriptions. I'm playing. It's really so I'm playing with that a little bit. It's really practices that we get to choose to do. And I'm excited that you and Mama D are going to read it together, because that's actually what I think is the most powerful way to experience revolutionary optimism, to deepen friendships, do these practices together. We have a journal and workbook, which allows you to take notes, like it looked like you're doing on your PDF version. And also there's guiding questions for groups, because I do think like there's an opportunity to deepen friendships and build beloved community by exploring the practices in whatever way you choose. So.
I know. And what I do like too is, like, I like when I read a book and there is like websites that you put in at the time. Like, if you need more tools, go here. So I do. I go there and I just see what you have. And there's a whole ton of tools, and multiple for even one subject. So I deeply appreciate that. And I think everyone else will also. And then also there's, and there's the QE code things, so you can do
The
that.
QR code.
QR, whatever they are.
Yeah, we're trying to be very modern here, 21st century.
Those little weird boxy, squiggly things that you click on and it takes
See,
you.
that's our technical. That's our tech support.
That's my tech support.
Just, I forgot to warn you beforehand, Paul. When I'm kind of like doing this, it's not because I'm bored or falling asleep. It's because I do the same thing on my phone. So I'm loving and commenting on people's comments. So I'm not.
Oh, we're on the YouTube channel, you mean? Or
we're on YouTube. We're 2 channels on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. So I try and interact with people. And then at the end of the show, Gina will tell you at the end, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can, because I got the microphone now. We download the audio version, then we upload it to Apple Podcasts and about 8 or 9 different podcast venues. So
Spotify and all that.
So if it's the if a question pops up and we put it up into the like here, Mr. Bob,
into the chat,
and we put it here, we'll read it so that those who are just listening to us get to actually hear the question, not just the answer.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And also we have your websites are up here.
Revolutionary Optimism.
Revolutionary Optimism. We have Dr Paul Zeitz.org and hashtag Unify Movements with the www.unifymovement.org. And why I say that out loud like that is because for the audio only version, but we do our best to get all the information out there. Where is your book available?
My book is available on Amazon.com and also on bookshop.org, which is a pathway that you can order it through independent bookstores if you don't want to use Amazon.
Okay, so I'm just if it's okay, can I just read off the 7 steps real quick?
Of course, yeah. I'm here.
So
I'm here
step
to serve
1,
you. Yeah.
Step 1, it's go time. Step 2 is self-liberation. Step 3, accessing unified consciousness. All right. Step 4, peace crafting. We're going to talk about that one. Step 5, imagineering. Then I thought of Disney. And step 6, sparking peaceful revolutions. And step 7, unifying. Now, how did you come up with? They're perfect, but how did you come up with these steps?
It was a creative process over the course of the last couple of years. And I really was like creating revolutionary optimism as I was living it and exploring these concepts and deepening. I feel like I put myself through a PhD program. And I've really deepened and purifying myself as a revolutionary optimist. I'm stretching myself. And so when I could, I tried to use new words and new language, like peace crafting is a new concept. And imagineering, yes, was a Disney original term, but I've recreated it, in the context of revolutionary optimism. So I do believe we need new language for a new era. And so I was starting to do that with the way I wrote the book.
Yeah. And then I gotta also say too, now you are Jewish, okay? And I'm going, okay, so I see, all right, I'm reading it and I'm going, sounds like this is Buddhism. And I'm like, he definitely,
Yeah, I mean, I was born a Jew, and I recently was even ordained as a Shir HaShirim rabbi, and I actually am interspiritual. Like, I actually I believe that it's many paths, one truth, and the truth is really love is the force that connects us, and is the opportunity that we can create a new way of experiencing reality if we access that.
That I completely and 100% agree with that. Now, when I said we were going to focus on that step 4, like peace crafting. All right. So, okay. 1, share thoughts on that and focusing on peace crafting and how it translates into actionable steps in real world scenarios. Okay. Real world as in something other than like the political mess that the world is in right now.
Something like that or not like that?
Well, you know what? Both. All right. So start with political, because we all know the political.
Yeah, I can share some examples. Yeah. Great. Well, just the arc of the book is that the first 3 steps that you mentioned are really about what our individual work and the work that we do around creating ourselves and generating ourselves each and every day through self-liberation. And then step 4 is peacecrafting. It's the heartbeat of the book. And it's really about how we relate to each other, how we're all talking together on this program, but also how we talk to anyone, any other human interaction. And then the last 3 steps are really about our collective liberation and about the things that we can do together to heal, repair, etc. And the idea is that there is an alchemy or a chemistry or an interaction between our journey of self-liberation and what we can unlock collectively. And that's really what the exploration is about in Revolutionary Optimism, is trying to, spin through that and explore what all that might mean for each of us every day. So peacecrafting is really, I really was writing this during this past year. And of course, the war in Gaza and Israel, the Ukraine war, the mass incarceration, the street violence, the mass shootings, the $1 trillion a year military budget, the 750 military bases around the world, the war. I mean, the whole thing's really feeling like violent revolutions are unfolding with unbridled velocity.
Right.
And so I created peacecrafting in that context. So it's a 4-step activity. I imagine it as like a virtual implant, like in my head. I inserted it in my head, and it's 4 steps. So everything I say and do is through this peacecrafting lens. First of all, it's being a listening friend, really learning how to listen. Stop talking or ask the question, why am I talking? There's a practice in there called WAIT, W-A-I-T. Why am I talking? Pause. Give space for others. Maybe saying less is more. Maybe just your presence can be all that is needed rather than da-da-da-da-da. So I think that's the first part of it. Then embracing multiple perspectives. Understanding that you have your perspective and others have their perspectives. And they're not always the same. In fact, I think there are about 8 billion perspectives. That's how many people there are on the planet. Or even I have multiple perspectives at any one time, Yep. So there's like this, like giving up the rigidity about my perspective is the only right perspective, opening up and not necessarily agreeing with everyone, but being open to learning and listening. The third part of this is love speech. So whatever someone else says, respond with love and counter shaming and uplifting language, even if they trigger you, even if you vehemently disagree with their perspective. Yep. Lastly, fourth part is building trust. What?
When you're done, we're talking about triggers.
Yeah, I get triggered all the time. So that's really a lot of work to use love speech all the time. Yeah. Yes. And then lastly is building trust. I used to think trust was like an on and off switch. Like I would trust you or I didn't, like forever. And I realized that was limiting who I could connect with. Yeah. So I decided to create a trust-o-meter. And it's a dynamic scale. Like I can love everyone unconditionally and I can not trust you for this particular issue or topic. And then in other circumstances, I can open up my trust and be connecting with you. So it just creates more flexibility and more openness for me. So that's the 4-step circle going through this mind to mind in the brain that I'm creating for myself to live into, of being a listening friend, embracing multiple perspectives, using love speech, and building trust. So it's kind of a game that I play. Like I had a fight with my wife the other week, and my inner dragon spit out my nasty mouth language out of my mouth. My wife's, what happened to that love speech thing you were working on?
I know this. We did this today.
Yeah.
And hence I had
you make it a game. We're all human. We're all, on a journey of learning and growth. So don't be too hard on yourselves. It's a game.
Right. But I appreciate that. And you know what I think too is something like that, something like this. Honest to God, every politician that goes, even starts running for office should do courses on how to speak, on how to react with people, on how to be a politician.
How to be a human.
A politician, because I am deathly afraid of what is going to happen in November. I'm very, very scared. I really am, like to the point where I'm going to be moving with Mama D up in Canada.
Y'all are invited. Come on.
Yeah, it's that just crazy, crazy, crazy. And you would think that people would learn throughout history. How many wars have we had? How many civil wars? How many revolutionary wars? Right? Revolutionary wars are always the ones that there is a good reason. All these other wars, world wars and things like that, those aren't really good reasons that those wars even took place. That's egotistical type wars, or, religious or whatever wars. Not a good reason to have a war. And we got to realize too that this is our planet. This is our freaking home that everyone is destroying and blowing up without even no concern whatsoever. It's like, do you have a brain? Do you think? Okay. But I think everyone, like you said, when you wished you had this one as a child, this could be and should be a curriculum in school. And just get a grip and to realize that you don't have to. There's a time to stick up for yourself.
Yes.
Okay? But you don't have to fight. You don't have to, start a war. You don't have to we have 500 minions on this side and 500 minions on that side, and this one's good and this one's evil, and that one thinks they're good and this one's evil. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's no communication. Can't talk.
I think people have forgotten. One of my things is, I had a disagreement with a gentleman. He was a pastor, and I, Mama D, believe in angels and I believe in spirit guides. And he came to me when he says, "How do you know that the angels are not the devil in disguise?" Because that's how it is. That's where his pretty much. I said, "You know what? You and I are never going to agree on this. So we're going to agree to disagree and just be civil. This is one of the topics that we will just not talk about." And I still get along with him to this day. I still just on it tell his wife that he eats a dozen donuts when he goes into the store. And she's like, "Yeah, I know, darling." But you have to learn, for me, okay? I'm not saying everybody else, but for me, I have to learn to agree to disagree. I may not understand. Okay, I don't pay attention to politics. When it comes down to it, I go with my gut. So far, my gut's been right. It's like we're good. But I won't get into a head-to-head competition with somebody about in whether it's American politics, Canadian politics. Every time somebody asks me, like in Canada, we have a whole bunch of different parties. So people always go, "Who are you voting for?" And I'm like, "Pot party." Very good. It's like we do actually have a pot party, marijuana party. We do actually have one up here. So I was like, okay. So it's like I won't open that door to let people in. But I mean, there's so many other things out there that's, if you sit in front of the news for 5 minutes, you're going to have a disagreement with somebody about something. Because it's just all that, and it's not just politics. It's the way things are. I mean, people are like, a while back when they said defund the police. I have so many friends that are cops that I was like, no, maybe just rearrange the way that the money is spent. I have a lot of, like I said, a lot of my friends are cops, and I think they're adorable. Okay, most of the ladies are beautiful. The guys are good. Okay, whatever. But they're guys, kind of say. But I know that they're good people at heart, and they have their own beliefs. But some people just like, oh no, he's wearing a uniform. I don't like him. What the heck? So it's like, listen, pay attention to what people, because sometimes you have to do one thing for the job, but the person is a whole completely different. So pay attention, people.
Right. And I like what you said about, like, I agree to disagree. I mean, if you can just say that and walk away, like, I have friends. It's not like a unknown fact. I hate Trump. Okay, it's not an unknown fact. The guy's a bully. He's a masochist. He has no business running for an office of that magnitude. He just doesn't. Right. But many of my friends love him.
Mhm.
All right, well, I am not going to condemn you. I am not going to not be your friend because you like Trump and I don't. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. I mean, if you choose to unfriend me, well, then, hey, then you just
we can't be held responsible for other people's responses and their attitudes.
Exactly.
We can only control ourselves and what we do. And like Gina is like, she do not like Trump. In case you haven't figured that out by her little thing, she do not like the Trump. Okay.
I like my female rights. We've worked hard to get those, and I don't want them to go back to the dark ages. No,
we have to pay attention to what would bring our children and our grandchildren, what's going to improve their lives.
Yes. And that's it. So what is this book going to do? Okay. And then that's just how you put it. All right. How can revolutionary optimism coexist in the midst of super crises and the systematic injustices and inequalities? This is like everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like everywhere.
Yeah.
So how do people just start? I know you have all these steps, and you have meditating, you have this, you have that, you have lots of things in there. But the first step is to get the book, right? But second step would probably be read it. But implement, really making up your mind and doing it. Like, how can
so I really want to offer that the book starts with "It's go time." Right. And that's really about just like waking up and living with gratitude, being in awe of the gift of life and the mystery of being alive on this blue marble that's floating around the universe. Like, I don't understand why we're even here. And it is sort of like from there, I want to really invite people to kind of look in the mirror and look at themselves and see that I would bet I know you both are, and 99.9% or more of your listeners are already love-centered activists in their own way. They may not self-identify as that, but they do things around self-care and self-love and taking care of themselves. They take care of their family. They offer love to their children or parents or family members or friends, and also in their community and the world. And all those forms of service are ways that every love-centered action counts. So the ripples of love are already unfolding. So it's like, take a breath. You're already there. You already got an A+. You're already from the beginning, And I just think if people could recognize their own power in that and just live from that place more, then we would be on it is go time, actually.
Yeah. I think one of the things you did was you put a name to it. A lot of people didn't realize what they were doing. You put that name to it. You help people go, so people are going to read this book and they're going to go, that's me. Right. Putting a title to it, what some pepper is pepper because you taste it, but some people don't look at it and go, nah, it's not whatever. But put a label on it, it's like, that's what that is. I won't taste it, But it's putting the name to it is going to be a major thing for people.
Perfect.
I forgot what I was going to say. So sorry. I have no idea. It's totally gone. But I know you. I was going to say something when you were writing about something. Yep, gone.
I mean, you had asked me to share a story about peace crafting in the real world. I could offer a story about that if that seems still relevant.
Okay, and then triggers.
Oh yeah, triggers. Right. Triggers. Yeah. Well, trigger. Okay, so step 2 is self-liberation, and that's really about understanding how our brain operates and understanding that we have what I call for myself. I have this thing called the inner dragon. It's this voice in my head that is hypercritical, hyper judgmental. It's the enslaver. It puts me down. It makes me feel like I'm inadequate. It makes me question myself and doubt and skepticism and hopelessness. It does all those things. It traps me in those states. And so I've understood I've studied how this works. And actually, it's our old brain, our old left-sided brain that activates that kind of default negative. And we needed it to survive as humans over the millennia, to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, in the 21st century, we know that we have other parts of our brain that we can choose to lead our way of living. So our right brain actually is the part of our brain that is the connecting part, the loving part, the part of our brain that understands that we are actually interdependent. Like it's like it gets that, it understands that by the nature of how it operates. And so I had to realize, it took me decades of fighting my inner dragons, that I get to choose how to live my life by letting my right brain rule the roost. I had a peace summit with my inner dragon. I'm like, we want you there to be, keep me safe, but you're not in control. Okay, relax. You're at a massage, or you're on retreat, or you're just like, you're not ruling for decades. So that is self-liberation. But that links to our collective. The wars that you were talking about is really just, inner dragons, going after each other with vengeance and revenge and cycles of violence and escalating violence. These are just unhealed inner dragons, and people haven't done the work to understand that they don't have to live that way, that we can transcend that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have neuroplasticity. Just quickly, I want to say, our brains are always reshaping themselves. We get new neurons every 2 years, so they're all new. And neural pathways that we create and use can take over how our brain flows, and old pathways that are unused get kind of clipped away by these little cells inside our brain. So we actually have.
Well, you can't use the excuse that, I was brought up that way. It's like, no, you have a new brain, and we learned that through Brandy. Remember?
Yes, yes.
About how your body, your cells, everything regenerates. So we already know this. So, people do tend to, I was raised, I was brought up, I did, it's like, I don't want to hear it. There's no excuse for the attitudes. There's no excuse for the violence. There's no excuse for how you're acting or how you treat someone or how you treat me. Right? It's like, no, it is unacceptable. Right. Yeah. So, and you can say that forcefully without causing a ruckus, without, like fisticuffs, without, any of that. You can be verbal, because sometimes that's the only thing that will get through to someone, you can try to speak your love language. All right. I'm not a good love language. I'm a man from way back. I just, when I try to have a love language, it still comes out harsh. And if I say it in my Mass accent, harsh, right? So, it can be more harsh from me than someone else, like a Mama D, right? So, and that's just the way the way I speak. Doesn't mean that I'm angry all the time. Doesn't mean, whatever. But I am staunch, right? I believe what I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to degrade you if you don't believe what I believe. Right?
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I think one of the things is, like, Gina and I are on the outside, we're completely different. It's like I don't swear. Well, okay, I do a little bit. And she can. She's been teaching me. Okay. But the thing is, we rub off on each other. We bounce things off each other, and it works. And this is the thing. If people would just pay attention to who you are and surround yourself with people that make you a better you, even to those that you disagree with. It's how life is. You gotta have the negative to see the positive. You gotta have the positive to see the negative. And sometimes you learn a whole lot more from the negative.
Yeah. And it's a choice too, I think, to wallow, right? Like, as I did, I woke up in a great mood. And then all of a sudden, wham, I got a text. And I'm like, what did I do? I woke up like, good morning. in a good mood. And then all day I have been like, I want to kill people. Excuse me, not really. I'm just an expression. Please don't take the show off the air. All right, I don't really mean that.
You're supposed to say unalive people.
I just been a very upset, angry person today. Very, very upset. Going through the gambit of all the emotions. I've had a rough year. I've had a worst year and a half of my life.
Yeah.
No lie. Right? I lost my dad. 10 months after that, I lost my mom. Before that, I lost my dog, Lacey, who I loved dearly. It was the last part of the husband that I lost. Right? Then I lost my dog. And then they just sold my childhood home. On top of that, it was my parents' anniversary. So it's been like rough.
When it rains, it pours.
Like this. All right. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Do I get triggered very easily? Yes. Yes, without a doubt. Because I don't have time to grieve, because I have to do work. I have to do my things. I have my obligations. I can't just grieve properly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot to grieve. And if I swear to God, I feel like if I let myself grieve, I'm just gonna cry from straight. You know what I mean? And you can't do it.
You have a lot of personal grief, and then there's this like collective grief that we're feeling about the state of the world that you talked about earlier. So it's all interrelated in a way, right? I mean, it's overwhelming for sure.
So when you look at a person and they're smiling and everything, but you don't really know what's going on inside their head.
Nope.
And it can be daily. And this is the thing too, especially with our politicians and especially in our political crisis in the world. You don't know personally what is going on with them that day. Right? Mm-hmm. So they may say something that, they wouldn't ordinarily say. Because it's the day.
Yeah.
They're human. We're all humans. We all have our emotions, and they come out sometimes, But I was saying, I was like, I really need to implement some of these things today to change my mindset today, because I find that I wallowed a little bit too much today than I normally would let myself do. It's like, I give myself 15 minutes, 20 minutes, all right, and then snap out of it, pull the bootstraps up and get going, because that's what you got to do. But no, not today. I don't know what it was. I couldn't snap out of it. All the way until the show. I still am, and you can tell, because I'm so that fine line of triggers. So now what do you say to someone that's in my position right now? What is the suggestion for me to do?
Well, thank you for sharing that so openly and being vulnerable with us on the show, and sharing where you're at. That was really brave. I just want to acknowledge you for that, and I really also want to acknowledge you for your high level of self-awareness. Mm-hmm. You kind of understand what's going on inside of you, and what is creating this day that you had, even though it wasn't the day you had intended. You have a sense of the sourcing of all that, and again, that's like high level of self-awareness, and I want to just acknowledge you for that. And that's the work, like being self-aware and understanding that we're living the human experience, and it's complicated, and managing yourself with joy. You're smiling and super wonderful right now. So even though you went through all that today and you have all that going on in your life, you're still generating yourself in a beautiful, joyous way tonight. So I think I would just salute you for everything you're up to. And I would you're a role model and inspiration. So just, thank you for all the work that you do. I know, I can tell that you work, this stuff is not easy, So managing triggers is I get triggered by everything, everyone, all the time is what I say. So I'm always, you guys are not, you are not triggering me. I'm joking. Yeah, but I do get triggered a lot. And
give her time.
The news. 1 minute on the news and I'm triggered,
Oh yeah.
I automatically get triggered, or, conversations with people and I have been dealing with grief in a new way for myself. It's actually, this is not in the book. This has happened since I wrote the book. I realized that grief is actually one of the deep emotions that like paralyzes me. And there was like the shadow side of grief for me is that I get hopeless and despairing and wallowing, as you said, and I get stuck there. I don't know how to get out. I mean, you get out in 15 minutes. That's amazing. I want to learn your tricks because I can get stuck there for weeks or months or and like I do have to choose to go out of it, and that is really the essence of revolutionary optimism. It's like taking the grief, taking the trigger, and channeling that into action for a better future. That's the work that I'm doing now, instead of the pathway down to wallow. Because that's like that's the default that I kind of lived with for decades. And now I'm like saying, okay, I don't really want to go there. It's not fun. I'm choosing this as much as I can. It's not always that able. I do still go to the wallow.
Oh yeah. We're all allowed to wallow at times. And I know that's one of the things that Gina's afraid of is actually letting that like she said, she's afraid if she starts to cry, it won't stop. But the thing is, you have to let it go. One of her ways that she used to
10 minutes
more. She used to send me a voice message every morning and just spew whatever was on her mind, what was going on, what was driving her crazy. And then I would message her back going, are you feeling better now? She goes, yeah. So I was like, you got to get it out. You can't just hold it in. I mean, I know from experience when my mother passed, there we go.
Yeah. This is one of the things in his book here.
Yeah.
When it's about self.
Yeah. When my mother passed, I was so busy taking care of everybody and everything else. I didn't grieve. And then one day my husband said something and it was funny. I was on the floor, stomach cramps, laughing. And then all of a sudden, like the light switch, I just switched. I started to cry. And I cried for about a good 10 minutes. And then my husband was like, oh my God, what did I say? Is it this? I said, no, the floodgates just opened and it happened. And then I started laughing again. He said, like, you're nuts. I was like, yeah, well, who's nuts? Me or the one who married me? Like,
Well, it was more self-preservation too, because when my husband passed, my dog passed, my husband passed, then that was in 2011, but we had big businesses together and I was self-employed and to make money and to keep the house and to do this and to do that. And we didn't have any, plans for funerals or plots or anything. I had to go in full-blown work mode and then close down his businesses and get rid of his equipment and do all the things and finish all the jobs off and everything, he was a builder. I was a designer. And, so I do the plans. He does the rough building. I do the finished stuff. And then I had a cleaning company and I would come in and clean it all up. I'm an artist, so I would go in and I would paint, like faux painting and murals and things like that, or just paint, so I could install the cabinets. I can do all the carpentry. I can do all that stuff, so I do the finished stuff. He did rough stuff and roofing, siding, things like that, So we were like the complete package. Poof. Now half the package is gone. And now I have to deal with everything. And I have to say that the mindset that I was in and the people that try to take advantage of you at that point, and they're not going to do it to me. Not happening in a million years. But it's just like, wow, you're really going to try to, feed off of or get something off of someone who's grieving, a widow who's grieving. I can see the women that, aren't like me, aren't strong, aren't independent, aren't, business owners, aren't whatever, allowing something like that to happen, and that bothers me. And that's why I don't like Trump, because I do not want to back up I don't want to go back to those times where, it's just the housewife and she can't do anything for herself. I don't want this to go back to that. All right. Women are very strong. They're very smart. They can run businesses. They can run the country very well. Okay. Yeah. And the both sides of the brain work at the same time. All right. So this is
hopefully that's true. Yeah.
It's another show. but it's Jess and me, right? No compassion. Right? Or is that Raven, Donna? I'm not sure which one you are, but
that's Raven.
But that's it, So, all right, so my rants go, But I think of the necessity of survival. You have to do these things. You have to, and they're not going to get done if you don't do them. So when that was all said and done, it's like you're moving on to something else, and then, and then try to keep the house up, and try to keep the work up, and try to keep the mortgages up, and all, it's like, it was just nonstop and broke me right down, broke my body, like physically, so now I'm a mess. I can't do any of that anymore. I used to carry 2 5-gallon buckets of mud across a room. You know how heavy those things are, right? I could carry them up like this and walk across a plank. Now, if I carry one, my back goes, and I'm going to be down for 2.5 weeks. So it's like, it destroyed me. It destroyed me physically, not mentally, but physically, and that gets depressing too, so it's like, all right, well, what can I do now? So I do what I can.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I do think self-care is really critical. And look, you experienced major trauma, and you had to go into overdrive to survive and to thrive, and look at what you did. And now you have like an opportunity to reflect on that and go, hey, I went through all that. Maybe I need to balance out my self-care now so that I can, take care of my body for the decades ahead that you have for your life. And I also want to share, I think we all have some forms of trauma. You had major trauma in the last decades or so, all that loss at the same time. And like you said, we don't know what we don't know about what people are going through, and that's a really important way of encountering the other, because we don't know.
You're right.
And people are all going through stuff. And I just want to offer, for me, I have found, and there's now some evidence on this, that advocacy, campaigning, and movement building, the collective liberation side of revolutionary optimism, is a healing modality. That you, by taking action, by taking a stand, by being committed to a cause, whatever that is, whatever belief system that you're trying to advance or agenda, that can be healing as well. It can be empowering. It can awaken a spark within you as you are healing from trauma. Basically, is the way it can work. It's not a replacement for anything else that anyone might do, but it can be an added component.
Right. Now you say too that this is a little note that I put in. A protest is not a movement. A movement is a sustained campaign. Right. Now I like that. And then you have like all these steps of there's page after page after page, of the different things that you need in order to pull off like a little revolution, whatever it is for, right? It's people. I love this because you could be any one of these people. So you need an action leader and you need a police liaison. So we got to talk about this in your zones, your red, yellow, blue.
Yeah.
Thing, right? You need a de-escalator. You need a legal observer. You need a spiritual anchor, which is really kind of cool too, right? So you need someone to keep the group there. A media liaison, a documenter, right? Now the song leader, what does that mean? Because there's more. But what is the song leader?
Yeah, so you're jumping into
we're going through the
peaceful revolutions, which is step 6. I love that part of the book. It's really about how to go about being part of peaceful resistance. If we're love-centered activists, we want to recreate our world. We want to put love at the center of our social, economic, and political systems. That's a huge revolutionary transformation from what is guiding our systems right now, which is really caste, a system of caste, the oppression of one group of people over another. That's what really the systems are set up to do, and to oppress. And they're driven from the inner dragon, as we talked about. So this is about direct action, good trouble, as John Lewis called it. And there are things that everyone can do, is what I am what I'm offering in Revolutionary Optimism, is that you can do stuff from your home or your office. You can support people that are doing peaceful resistance in all the different ways. And you
Yes.
were going through the list of if you're actually doing a direct action, if you're doing a protest, if you're holding a government or a corporate leader or someone in authority that's oppressing, if you're holding them accountable using peaceful resistance, those are the different roles that people can play. The song leader is the one that's like doing the chant, leading the group in song. The people are rising like the waters. Do, 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 do. So there's songs, we shall overcome. It's a chant song that you can do. It's hey, hey, ho, ho. Da, da, da has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. You can.
Mama D has got to go. Okay.
Who?
Mama D. I don't pick on me myself, so like I understand.
You have to go? You can't go.
You don't have to go. No, you're not going.
People are like, she's a pain in my tuchus. I am, but I'm a good pain, so that's what counts.
Yeah. Thank you for asking about that.
But I do love all this stuff here too, because there's so many more.
Get really practical in step 6, right? It's really practical.
It's like really putting everything into action, and then that you can be a certain part, like even if you can't lead, do. If you can't do, you know what I mean, support. Even money wise, so there's so many things that you can do. You can help with social media, you can do this, you can do that. So even if you can't give all of your time, if you can give 20 minutes of your time to a cause that you truly believe in, do it.
Exactly. It doesn't take much.
One person can make a difference.
It's like, I love what Raven says in the chat room. Honestly, if we were to join together, we could outnumber those in the system lovingly.
Well, that's the point.
Here, Raven injected me. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That is, I believe, like, even through this show, we're already connecting. We're all aligned in many ways, and we didn't know each other, and we're not connecting. So I do feel like in this phase that we're in now, for the next couple of years, if we could find ways of connecting and unifying, then we can bring forward these peaceful revolutionary transformations.
Yeah. And again, I think this is a good time to be putting up these too. All right. So here are all his websites. Now, when is your podcast on?
My podcast, I'm in my 2nd season. So I'm putting out 10 episodes a year this year in 2024. So I think there's 6 that are already up, and we're going to have another batch coming out in the fall. So those are been great opportunities. I love the podcast, listening and learning and exploring revolutionary optimism. I've had members of Congress, I've had presidential candidates, I've had movement leaders, faith leaders that are actually doing advocacy and activism, and really like getting into like their personal stories, like what keeps them motivated as revolutionary optimists in the face of opposition. So I actually drew on a lot of that for the book itself. So that was
and where can people listen to your podcast?
Anywhere on Spotify, Apple. It's on like 20.
Okay, so it's all audio. Perfect.
It's on every platform out there.
So just put in Apple or Spotify or whatever the case may be.
Revolutionary Optimism and
Revolutionary Optimism for didn't have to trip over my tongue.
And
Go give it a listen.
Zeitz.org. And then check out the movement stuff. It's really cool, the things that you're going to see there. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's really
it's worth it.
Amazing. Let me see about these questions in here. There's something else that I have arrows on, like I think every single question. So
can I ask you guys a question? I'm really curious. Like, how do you all know each other? How did you two? I mean, I'm not supposed to be asking you questions, but I'm like,
well, I was
no, it's fine. This is your show. You get to do what you want, and that includes asking us questions.
We've both had different shows. We've both been doing this for like 10 years now or so.
At least, yeah.
I had a show with called Second Sight, when my co-host was a psychic medium from Staten Island, and we had Mama D on as a guest. And at that point, I think, what were you doing? Were you doing Fire Chat?
I was doing Fireside Chat.
Fireside Chat, yeah. But she's had several shows herself, and on different types, Intuit Talks and all that kind of stuff. I can let her explain all her things. So we had her on the show, and then she had us on her show, and I just loved her. I loved her the second I saw her. Yeah. And then my co-host left. I kept the show called Second Sight. And the next show, I used to do a little segment called The Fox Den. Was a little segment because I was paranormal and he was like metaphysical. So I would do a little paranormal something, talk about, I don't know, either equipment in the field or psychic vampires or things like that I would talk about, And it's just people that drain you, so energy vampire type people. So I would just do that. So then when he left and decided he wasn't coming back, I changed the show to the Fox Den. Then I said, Mama D, I think I was on her show.
I was trolling her because what I do is I go into friends' shows and I will post links, part of what they're talking, the people they're talking about. And I was doing it for Gina's show. And then she messaged me after, goes, how'd you like to come on as a co-host once in a while? I was like, okay, sure, why not? I had my other shows that stopped for a while. I was like, sure, why not? And then after 2 shows, it was like she was stuck with me. She couldn't get rid of me.
Yep, my history. So
thank you for sharing that. That's great.
We've never actually met face to face.
Yeah, just yes, because she's in Canada. I told her I'm sending.
Where are you, Gina? Where are you based?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
The deep part of Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm in Pennsylvania now. I've been here for like 7 years now, but I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay, great.
They keep putting my picture up on the American-U.S. on the border and going, do not let this woman in. You know, many people keep threatening to stick me in a trunk and drive me over the border.
Yeah, I wanted to come.
Yeah, no, this has been it's been a connection with a fabulous couple of ladies. Look who's talking.
Yeah, I know.
But we work so well together, and like I said, it just fits, and we've been doing this show for 4 years now.
No, longer.
Has it been longer than that? Somebody go back and find out what our first show we did.
It's been longer than that. It's been longer.
It feels like forever, but not in a bad way. It sinks.
It's
You meet those people.
Yeah,
you meet those people. And
we got to do a show a week, if not more. And so I got to read a book a week. That's hence my library back here, and I've got all my books that I have to read here, and the ones that are on the computer, and the ones I have downstairs. And this is next week's show, so I got to read this by Thursday, and so I do that and I fill her in.
Yeah, I do the audio version with the PDF file. I need to have both. I need to hear it in my ears and see it with my eyes. So I'm okay with I'd love to have a book, but I'm okay with the PDF because then I can put the PDF on my Kindle and it reads it to me.
Oh, okay.
Unless I get the audio book, but not all books are in audio version yet.
I can't do that. I do like to have book in hand. I really do, because I have a nice comfy chair that I can sit in and read, and I enjoy that. And it's like if my glasses are on, someone comes in and I'm reading, it's like
yeah, she does it. She does it. Even to me. We'll be on here and she'll be like, wait. And she'll be so I have to sit there and like the little girl is twiddling my thumbs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I lose it. I forget why I walk into a room. So, it's like, wait a minute. But, we just love our show. And
we know that no matter who's on the show, we know that out there we're helping one person. That's how we focus. We focus that we're going to help one person. We could be helping dozens, but we know that we're helping that one person, and then that one person will spread it, and then it'll go further. But that's our focus, one person. And also, this is a safe space. We may not, it's not you, we may not agree with all of our guests. It was only 2 so far we don't like. Well, not we don't like, we just don't agree. But we give them the platform to share to share themselves.
Yep.
And oddly enough, the shows that we had the most moments with are the most watched on YouTube. So I was like, okay, guys.
That is interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, because the ones that I really would love to have out there for things that are really making a difference, like you and your book, that would really make a difference globally.
Yeah.
I wish those would.
I hope so. Yeah, that's my dream. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is if we put it out there and we make sure that Gina we download the audio version. Gina puts it up every Friday morning, and it's out there, and we put it out there. We don't sit in complacency going, man, it didn't work this time. We won't put it up. I don't feel like it. Gina's like, did you get it done? Did you give me this time? Yes, dear, I got you. we work well with each other because we know that it's important. What we do is important to helping everybody, not just like one specific group of people. It helps everybody.
Right.
Now I got a question. All right. So how does #Unify address the climate emergency within the framework of love-centered activism? Another great question on this list.
Yeah, that is a great question. So I am a scientist by training, a physician, a scientist, and I have studied the climate emergency for decades now. And I am extremely alarmed about the state of the crisis and the failure of as individuals, but more importantly, as our governments have failed to respond effectively. I mean, everything that's happened in the last 50 years, all the positive, quote unquote, progress, like the Paris Climate Treaty and all these other things, it's not working because CO2 carbon pollution is still increasing. And the United States is the largest per capita emitter, and so we have to take a serious responsibility for our actions and the impact that it's having. The planet it's hothouse Earth. It's warming rapidly. We just had the hottest recorded day recently. The polar caps are melting. The oceans getting acidified, and the circulation systems are becoming wobbly. The atmospheric systems are wobbly, and we're just at the very beginning of the disruptions that we're going to experience inevitably, because there's 1 trillion tons of carbon pollution that we've already pumped up there, yet alone the more that's going. So we're dealing with the consequences of the last 50 years right now, our lifespan, like the three of us. And so I think that I believe that we actually are living in this moment of possibility, though. We could transform everything right now, but we can't do it under the systems of oppression. Our Constitution, for example, is a promulgator of what is called extractive capitalism, like take, burn, do whatever you need, pump as much carbon as you want for whatever your lifestyle is. And that is what is killing us. And so I just published a piece about this on my Substack, and I propose like a five R's for climate transformation for a livable future. And I can put it up on the chat if you want.
Yes, please.
And I can. I'm just looking it up right now. So this is stuff that could happen under a new U.S. A new economic order for peace, a whole new economics. And so advocating for regenerative economics, where we can create new systems that would support and protect our planet using smart, sustainable practices and ethically minded business. Now, we could do that immediately. We have to rapidly cut emissions. We have to reduce fossil fuel use, stop deforestation at 5 times the current pace. And we have to figure out ways to remove the carbon pollution from the atmosphere. And we can do that through natural solutions or with new technologies. We can repair all the ecosystems. And lastly, resilience. We have to prepare for the inevitable consequences, and including migrations. So regenerative economics, rapid emission cuts, removing carbon pollution, repairing ecosystems, and resilience are the 5 R's that I'm advocating for.
So how do we as a community stand behind you and help that?
Yeah, I think it's having, joining the movements that are working for, to put pressure on our political leaders to scale up an effective response, it's a constant battle right now. I feel like where I'm at personally, I'll be honest with you, the current U.S. government is operating under the U.S. Constitution, U.S. 2.0, I call that. And U.S. 1.0 was the Articles of Confederation that operated from 1777 to 1789.
Which was fine then.
Then we had the Constitution from 1787 till now. And I feel like, again, we understand how it's not working, and we have to stop trying to fix an unfixable, broken system. It cannot be fixed. Why don't we switch and work together to build a new system that is based on these 5 R's, for example, and based on putting love at the center.
Yeah, and today,
we could do that.
In the climate of today, not even just the climate. I mean, the climate of everything today. We definitely need change, because there's a hell of a lot more people than there was in the 1700s. We've grown. To grow, you got to change. To change is, that equals growth. However, again, now we're just destroying this planet. And again, I'm going to say Trump doesn't believe that it's happening. He doesn't believe in global warming. And it's just like, how the hell can you not believe in global warming? Dude, wake up.
It's protecting the status quo. I mean, I think Trump is a persuasive demagogue, and he's just a symptom, though, of our sclerotic ancient constitution and the government that was created in the 1700s by white male, majority of them slave owners. And they did liberate themselves from the colonial England, and they did have good intentions for liberty and pursuit of justice, et cetera, et cetera. However, they replicated the caste system of the colonial rulers, and they just created their system based on oppression. And
so instead of having
slavery was legal,
president,
women were oppressed.
Parliament.
I mean, and look what's happening 250 years later. It's the same failed approach. And the good news is that caste, which is this oppression system that I keep mentioning, is actually a disease of the human psyche, and it's healable, according to Isabel Wilkerson, the woman who wrote the landmark book about caste. Mm-hmm. And she explains that we can heal from this disease. We don't have to operate as oppressors. We can become interdependent.
I like it. I like your mind. I do. Let's see. What are we doing on time? All right. We're
time. We're 9:09. We're good.
All right. Good.
When I get to the Substack link that you posted in the private chat. So as soon as I get there and I can get that, because it's not letting me go there. How rude. But I'll figure it out and I'll put it up in the main chat.
What? We can't just copy?
No, it's not letting me go there. I try to go there first, and it's going nope.
Huh, weird. Okay. That's her department. I give up. What was the other thing I had? Oh, what? So now you've done these things, right? So you've implemented these things in practice, right? So you have gone to other countries to keep kids safe and things. You've gone to these different places. So you know that the system that you're implementing works.
Well, I mean, I've lived and worked all over the world. I'm trained as a physician. I'm trained in public health and preventive medicine. So I was always working on how do we bring available technologies to scale, and what are the social determinants of human flourishing and human thriving. And so I worked in Africa for many years. I lived in Africa. I worked on child health, and I worked on global HIV and AIDS, for example, back in the 1990s. And yeah, we had life-saving AIDS medicines that were available in the United States and Europe and the global north, Japan, but they were completely not available in sub-Saharan Africa, and people were dying like flies.
Yeah.
And I had an awakening. I was like, wow, this is the Holocaust of our time. And so I decided to break out of the system that I was in. I was a technocrat, being Dr. Paul, creating programs that weren't designed to work, actually. They weren't designed to actually solve the problem. It was, through the US government or the UN. And so I became an advocate, and I realized that it was external pressure on the decision makers that actually creates the political space for transformation. So we started advocating. It was me and many other people. It was an international solidarity movement of folks that were saying, we need billions of dollars every year to provide life-saving AIDS medicines. We can save lives. And we built an interpartisan movement. Democrats, Republicans, independents, everyone agreed. George Bush launched this, and it's still 21 years later. We've saved over 40 million lives. We've spent $110 billion through interpartisan support, and to this day. And I'm proud that I was part of that. Yeah, and that we found a way to build a movement that has lasted over all this time, that brought people together for a higher good, a common good. Like why did we do it? Because we could save those lives.
Yes.
There was no other real reason except that we could do it.
Yeah. And that's what we try to get through to everyone. Look at the world, the whole world had to stop because of COVID. The whole world had to do the same thing at the same time because we had to, right? It can be done.
Yeah, that was a disruption that we had to handle. Yeah, and that was a big challenge. And I do think it's important to reflect on the COVID, and I still think we're recovering from that, right? The loneliness crisis and the Zoom, the pandemic of Zoom. I call it. I started the Zoom Liberation Organization because I can't be on Zoom.
Away from Zoom.
I mean, I was on Zoom for like 8 or 10 hours a day. I can't be on Zoom that much anymore. It's like I'm done with it. So I'm liberating myself from Zoom. But but those kind of disruptions are going to keep happening. That's what I want people to understand. With the super crises that we have, the economic inequality, the climate emergency, the wobbling of democracy and democratic systems, all the things that are the wars, all this stuff that's going on, we're going to have more disruptions. So we have to build a resilience for all that.
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's true. And then you have to have your healthy fear. You don't like to teach people fear, but you have to have a healthy fear in order to survive.
I mean, we all have fear. Fear is a part of the human psyche, and it's a part of the old brain. It responds to circumstances with fear. And the media, the news, we keep talking about the news. Well, the news is set up to trigger our fear and make us like riveted to it and keep us in a triggered state, even a traumatized state. Yeah.
What's the opposite, right? Being safe, right? So it's like they get you with the fear and they say, well, to be safe, you got to go this way.
Well, that's what the persuasive demagogue does. They stoke fear, they stoke separation and, fear of the other. And then they do the strong man, and I'm going to save you, and I have the solution, and I'm the only one. And, that's the magic, unfortunately, of a persuasive demagogue. They can stoke fear and then be the solution.
Yeah. And it has, they did write about Tesla being killed for trying to transform energy. Yeah, you write also about Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King. Again, these magnificent people trying to make a difference in the world get killed, and I can't put Trump in that class. All right. So
there's a chapter in the book about willingness. It asks the question about willing to sacrifice, chapter 32, and it talks about what are we willing to sacrifice to create the world that we want. I mean, we have to face that. I'll speak for myself. I'm a privileged, white, educated person, and I benefit from the systems of oppression. And so I realized that I have to, as I'm colonizing my mind and unpacking separating myself from the these oppression systems that are operating around me and in me, as I heal from all that, then I ask the question, like, what am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to sacrifice my freedom? So yeah, I've gotten arrested a few times in the past year, and I've been held overnight in horrible conditions, and so I was willing to sacrifice my freedom, and I am willing to sacrifice even my life if I could offer that in order to bring forward this transformation. Let's do it. Like, I think, I don't know what to take. I don't want to be a martyr. I'm not a martyr. I'd like to live a long life, but I'm not going to run to Canada. Sorry, Mama D. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to take a stand for a love-centered American society. I feel like we're part of the problem on the planet, and if we can heal ourselves here, then there could be ripples of healing globally. And I'm going to stay and duke it out for that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure Gina will too.
I do my best. And that's why we do this show.
Yeah, exactly. I have a question for you when it comes to this planet. Okay, and you believe that we need to make changes, not just the U.S. but every other country. What is your stance on us flying to Mars?
Yeah, so I mean, as a student of science and technology, and I'm like fascinated by, that is where, like, unlocking the human imagination and the idea that we could fly to Mars or we could fly to the moon, and then all the science and technology and resources that go into creating innovation and things that have ripples effect that we don't even know what will be the ripple of it. I'm all for that, if it's in balance with, like, taking care of us here at home right now. Like, I don't think billionaires who have all this money that they shouldn't have necessarily, and who are wasting money on their yachts and their 20 million homes and
should be the ones that get to
and all the excessive greed that led
they
to that.
sent an astronaut.
Yeah, and then now they want to fly to the moon. Like, that's not authentic,
No.
But as a society, if we're unlocking our imagination, like, I would love to be on this spaceship that's flying to the edge of the universes. If we decided as humanity we were going to come together and create, like, the Star Trek vehicle, I would go on it. Why not? It would be fun. But and while we're here right now, we have to live in a global, peaceful, sustainable community. We have to give everyone access to their basic human rights, human dignity, food, health, education, livelihood, housing, all the things that humans deserve as living, loving beings. So that has to come first.
Do you believe in prophecies, things like that, like Nostradamus?
I mean, I'm not an expert on Nostradamus. I believe, and in step 3, I talk about accessing unified consciousness. And I really felt strongly that was an important part of the journey of living as a revolutionary optimist, because accessing the vertical, I call it, or accessing the great mystery, accessing prophecy, if you want to call it that, or accessing unified consciousness or collective consciousness, or some people call it Jesus consciousness or Buddha consciousness, whatever language you use. I think it's like people call it different things. I think understanding that we can access that it is, we can develop our skills in accessing it. And then when we need it, we can deploy it. And I share in the book stories where I've had to, access that and to calm my inner dragon and stay present in difficult circumstances where I'm wanting to do peace crafting. I've had to access unified consciousness. So,
and again,
prophecy. I think we don't know. I'm a scientist, so I say I don't know what I don't know. So I'm going to assume maybe all these other realms and all this other stuff is real, and I'm going to experience it, and I'm going to deploy it, and I'm going to live into it. And then maybe in 50, 100, or 1,000 years, we'll figure it all out. We don't know.
Yep. But I mean, according to Nostradamus, we will be living amongst the stars, but he has predicted all our world wars. He has predicted that, that there's going to be a nuclear bomb coming our way from like the Israeli area.
Oh,
So it's like,
when is that happening?
well, it's hard to figure that,
We don't know the exact timing.
how they do these quatrain things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that when he says that we'll be living amongst the stars, and I keep thinking of it as we're going to be doing that out of necessity. I think they're preparing these things now, these ships and these things, and I think it's already going, that it's a necessity because we are destroying our planet, and we have to work here so that doesn't happen. Anything that he'll deal.
What does that mean, living amongst the stars? Like I heard what you said, but I don't know what that means.
Well, that's all he said, is we are going to be living amongst the stars, whether it's we're in ships traveling or if we're going to another planet, because it's, and I do think that it's just either we're blowing up this planet, we're making this planet unlivable, or maybe a mass extinction thing is going to happen. I really don't know. That's happened before. It can happen again, I mean, God, if anything deserves to be wiped out, it would be mankind. For the most part. I mean, it's just ridiculous what people do and what people do to each other and what people do to the planet. And it needs to change. And it needs things exactly like this. It really does. So that this stuff doesn't happen, that this stuff can stop, that this stuff doesn't start, so the younger generation to start things like this, to understand the bigger picture, the better.
Yeah.
Boy, I get really on my tirades here today. I don't know what's wrong with me today, boy.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So do you see this? I mean, did you do this and design this, that you really want to see this globally, right? So how are we going to make this happen?
Yes, I do believe that the systems of oppression that I described are operating globally. And when we think about the opportunity that we have before us to transform through peaceful revolutionary transformation, to place love at the center of our social, economic, and political systems, that has to happen globally. So in the past week, I've been on the phone with people in the United Kingdom. I've been on the phone with people in Zambia and Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm talking to people who agree that this is the time, that this needs to happen now. And hashtag Unified Movements is a movement building platform that's designed to spread. So we started with hashtag Unify USA, and we could have hashtag Unify Zambia. We could have hashtag Unify other countries. We could see it spread rapidly if it becomes the right confluence of we choose it. Like I'm one person, I have a team, I have people that are joining me. I'm really feeling inspired. Something is churning out there, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it will unfold, but and I feel like your response to it is like inspiring to me. Like you feel like we might be in that moment of possibility. We're in that Kairosian moment of revolutionary healing and transformation. I hope we are. I want us to be there. Yeah, I think I sense that. That's my prophecy that I am bringing forward, and I feel like I think we all have to do our best to bring that forward.
Very true. And I think a lot of people have to stop being afraid about what are others going to think. What will people think of me? Do what you got to do to save the planet, to save it for the future, but start now. So you can't control what other people think or say or do. You can only control what you think, say, and do, and how you react to it. If you think this is a good thing, then hashtag unity. Dude, get off the. My father used to say,
the gloom and doom and the fear-centered people, the gloom and doomists, it'll never work people, the Eeyores, right? It's like,
what?
Yeah, that's, I'm trying to look at people that are, the skeptics or, and even that part of myself as with compassion, that is my inner dragon. And in Imagineering, where I really talk about like unlocking our radical imaginations, our visions. And I've realized that I used to think I was the only one that wanted to heal the world. And actually, everyone wants to. They're just, everyone has big, bold ideas. They're just, our culture, the system of oppressions or limiting beliefs, limiting narratives that we have within ourselves or that our family provided to us or provided to us. There is a truth to that. Or our geography where we live, there's certain limiting beliefs, or our culture, So all that is stuff that, like you said, Mama D, we have to just not react to those limitations and overcome them. And there is fear that we have to overcome, and shame, and all these other things that hold us back.
Yeah, and just look at the things that we've changed by just being honest with ourselves, being honest with others, and not giving a hoo-ha about what other people think. There's my fancy one. Because I mean, back in the day, and the idea that somebody was gay is like, oh my God, or what is that? Happy? Yeah, it's like, no, it's changed. The things that people would have been like shocked and horrified from it back in the day are like, okay, not a problem. So if people might be shocked and horrified about you making these changes, not you personally, but everybody out there who decides to make these changes, they might be shocked and horrified at the moment, but eventually it'd be like, she's onto something or he's onto something. So get it done, people. Get it done.
Now, is your wife as what's the word I'm looking for? Gung-ho to this as you are?
Well, I'm blessed that I'm married to my wife, Mindy. We're coming up to our 33rd wedding anniversary coming up very soon. And
congratulations.
we've been together for 35 years. We have 5 sons and 2 daughters-in-law and 2 grandchildren. We're very blessed with a lot of love surrounding us. Mindy supports me. Mindy supports me 1,000%.
Okay.
I think that I tease her sometimes as like the chief skeptic, the person that is always challenging and, doesn't agree with everything, of course, and has her own perspective. And
of course,
it always keeps me in check, if you will. And, I've had to learn how to listen and learn from people that are not, exactly where I'm at.
What they say, happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. Yeah. Pick your battles for sure. Yeah.
Now, just a quick second here. Did you say 5 boys?
Yeah, I have 5 sons. Yeah.
So your wife is raising 6 boys,
including me.
She does need a medal and a monument.
Yes, she does. She deserves a medal, and she is a great mother and a great partner. So, and she's actually a real doctor. She sees patients every day. She's a family physician.
So then you make sure that you
has had a practice.
That's like,
and has she's the one that is really working with individual
on the front line. Mm-hmm.
What a nice family. I love it. Oh, okay. What do we got? We still have
yes, we're good. I saw a question before I come back to go ahead.
Oh, can I mention the ATC tools?
Which ones?
atctools.org. Where the resources are.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's in the book. Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it was like you need tools for transformation, and I'm telling you, this was amazing as to how much. Like I said in the book, so many places, it had all these different things to help you along this path, along the things to help. And there's an atctools.org /resources /tools-for-transformation. There's so many things in there that people need on a daily basis just to cope. Let me tell you that. Okay. But that's a lot to do with triggers. It's a lot to do a lot of different things, a lot of different subjects. I couldn't believe the amount of
Tools?
input that was there. It was just, when I see these things, it's like, this is how I know that someone truly cares. And you truly care, and you've got a heart. And it's like, I feel like, I have the advantage where you have the disadvantage. Like, you don't know us, but I feel like I know you from the book, so I got you. and I understand what you're trying to do here, and I understand how much heart and soul you really truly are putting in here. You believe this 100,000%. I know there's only 100%, but I mean, I'm just saying. and this is what comes through in spades, basically. And I don't know, I have to congratulate you on what you've done so far. And I got to ask you, is there going to be a sequel to this? Let's further this.
That's funny. Someone else on a show asked me that recently, the same question. And I was like, whoa, I just completed this. This is just launched. And like I said, I feel like I put myself through a PhD program. It was very intense learning and growth and stretching. I mean, it is possible I'll come up with a fourth book. I definitely have imagined that, but I'm not committed to it right now. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is.
Well, you did say.
I feel like
breathe.
Yeah, I'm giving myself a breath, and I'm really enjoying revolutionary optimism as a way of living my own life. And also offering it to you and your listeners and to all the different groups. I really enjoy these conversations. I'm learning a lot from everyone, and it's just great to be connected with other love-centered people. That's my joy right now.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You should ride on that high. You should ride on the coattails of what you've done.
Yeah.
Right? Take the breather, take the breath, and
because this is gonna make changes. It's gonna be, and not just for you, but for the rest of us and everybody else who reads it. It will be something that will make changes, and you're gonna do a lot more stepping up, not just in having shows, but just being who you are is like an outstanding example of the changes that can be made.
Yeah, but I think too that this can spark other people to
step up to the plate.
Step up to the plate, but even go, like another step further and another step further. Like, you just give them that. If you have a spark of hope, then you have, a chance.
Eventually, there'll be a big ass bonfire.
This is it. This is the harsh truth. Is this is our survival? We need this to survive, and people have to get that through their head. We're dying. The planet's dying. The people are dying, and this is what needs to happen. It needs to change, and it needs to change for the better, and it needs to change peacefully and lovingly, and not everybody at each other's throats at all times.
Okay. We have a message in the chat, and I'm not sure why it's not showing up in this chat, but is your book on audio?
Not yet. I have not produced the audiobook yet. Folks are asking me to do that, and it's on my to-do list for sure. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. I just literally launched the book May 1st.
Right.
I am starting to hear some really exciting feedback. Like you said, like it catalyzes people. I got a message from a woman in California who was a teacher at a school, and the school board had fired another teacher, and all the other teachers were upset. The parents were all upset. And so they mounted a campaign to get rid of the school board president. And then they got rid of all the bad school board members. And then this person who started this whole thing is now on the school board. And I just was like, that was from reading Revolutionary Optimism. And they were like, well, yeah, it happened. It catalyzed something. Like that person saw their own power to affect change in their environment. And it led to all these things that were unexpected. And that just warmed my heart and made me realize it can happen. It is having that ripple. So like you said, if one person is having a ripple from the teachings, the offering, the love offering of the book, then I'm completely satisfied and thrilled.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Carmen again. Carmen in the chat. Yeah, Carmen in the chat who asked about the audiobook said, "I do better with the audiobooks than reading hard or paperback books."
Yeah.
So in other words, put it on the
Get on it.
Get on it.
I hear you, Carmen. Thank you for the thank you for the nudge. Thank you for the shove. You know, I hear you.
2x4 up against the back of your head.
Of course. But I mean, but you write all these things. Like I started reading all the things that you need all these people, you know, to have this like big campaign going, you know, and it's so true. It's like starting a whole company. It's like starting a business. You need all the proper people in place, you know, and you need all your liaisons, and you need, you know, social media people. You need your financial people. You need the police people and the people that would get you out of jail, Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about too. Now you have these yellow, red, blue.
No, yellow, red, green. Yeah.
Green. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing direct action, peaceful resistance, there are things that you're doing to interrupt the status quo. You're interrupting what is seen as normal. And you're saying, enough is enough. We are holding you accountable. We want you to change out of this pattern. So you're intentionally interrupting and disrupting. And sometimes you might be breaking the laws, if you will. And so there's different levels of risk that each person is willing to take. So red means you're willing to get arrested. Yellow means you prefer not to, but you might get arrested. And green means like you don't want to get arrested. And so you're going to be like you might be president but you have a role where you have zero or close to zero chance of getting arrested. Okay. And so it's an interesting kind of journey. Like sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then several months ago, like in April of this year, 2024, Climate Defiance announced publicly that they were going to interrupt the congressional baseball game that was being played between Democrats and Republicans that was being held on June 12th. And this game is sponsored by Chevron, fossil fuel company that has a notoriously environmentally destructive reputation, and other corporations that are controlling our government, basically writing the laws to protect the systems of oppression that we talked about. And I don't know. Something in me, my revolutionary optimist part of myself was like, I'm doing that. I'm going, and I'm going to be a red. I don't know. Right away, I knew. So that day, I mean, I was like, oh boy, here I go. And I know they might hold me overnight. I know it could be bad. But I joined a group of, we were the Climate Blockade 8. It was 7 young people in their 20s or 18s and me, the 62-year-old. And we jumped onto the field. We interrupted the game, and we were arrested and held for 21 hours. I'm
going to have to go back and look at that video clip because I saw that on the news and I was like, wow. So I'm going to go back and check it out and see if I see it.
It was, it had a huge impact. Like it got covered in every major news story. It was the big story out of that game. And it was like, I am doing this for like, I look at my granddaughter who's 2 right now and my grandson who's 4. And I imagine them in 2100 and when they're in their early 80s or so. And I'm thinking they're going to be thanking you and all of us for everything that we did to create a livable future for them. Yep. And so I've done the UN thing. I've done the government thing. I've done the, like we know how to solve these problems. It's not the issue. Like the issue is political will and the systems of oppression that are running our society. And if we don't change those, you can't heal the climate under extractive capitalism. It just will never work.
Well, then again, you know what else irritates me about that is those huge companies too. They don't even pay the damn taxes, right? They defer it every single year. All right. It's like it just,
they write the rules. They wrote the rules so they can get away with it.
It's like, if we did any of that, we would end up in jail.
Yeah.
Any of it.
Yeah, we want a people's, we're advocating for an interdependence covenant to create US 3.0 that really is a people's run government with a new fourth branch of government called a People's Assembly. And this has been operationalized in countries around the world right now. And we don't have anything close to that here in the United States. We could have national referendums. We could have a whole new form of government, a more authentic, actually a real democracy. We don't actually have a democracy right now. We have a theocracy or corporatocracy. The corporations are running the show. And the people have to rise.
Dictatorship.
What?
If Trump gets in, we'll have dictatorship.
And we would lose any auspices. Yeah, he's implementing an authoritarian playbook. It's not just him, though. I want to just be clear.
Oh no,
it's a whole movement. It's a
whole
whole group of very wealthy, greedy folks who are setting up the systems to protect their own interests, just like our founders did. And they want to keep control of the government. Yeah, they don't want the people to rise. They don't want the people to have a vote.
No. And you keep us oppressed too, because we're the ones having to pay our taxes that are paying all those bills that are, and then paying for the ones that don't pay the taxes. And then, it is a trickle down effect, but what gives them the right?
Yeah, and so even the Trump supporters, many of these people are economically suffering as well and economically oppressed.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and so that's where the persuasive demagogue and the way that Trump and his folks talk, they offer solutions, that people believe will help them, even when the truth may be it does more harm than good.
You're right. I want to kind of back up a little bit here again too, because it's like, do we really disagree about everything? This is what you write here. It's on page 92 in the book, and it's like, despite the polarized political society in which we live today, there is more agreement than most of us believe. There's less disagreement about common sense solutions. For example, the United States studies have shown that agreement on a variety of issues, including those that are presented by the media as being polarized or divided among party lines. And then you have 73% of Americans are in favor of paying our teachers more, which, yeah, we should, because that's our future. 67% support forgiveness of medical debt, which is huge, because, then there's always an issue on healthcare in the United States. 89% of Americans, including 84% of Republicans, support common sense gun control measures like background checks. Who would not want a background check? Okay.
Right.
Jesus. All right. 72% recognize that climate change is actually really happening, and the same number believes that U.S. should regulate CO2 as a pollutant. Yes. Okay. See, these are
almost 3/4 of the public.
That's right. These are huge numbers. They're huge numbers. So we can get together behind these things. These are polls. These are things that have taken place. Right. 77% of the people believe that the U.S. should fund research into renewable energy. That should be higher. 86% believe racism is a major problem today in America. And that always alters. It's like, all right, what's the pick of the week, or the pick of the year, or the pick of the decade? I don't know. I don't get it. Our blood is all red. 77% of Americans believe there should be limits on political campaign contributions. That just levels the playing ground. That's a fair thing. That should be higher again, I think. All right. And then one study showed that after some open dialogue, a sample of Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. overwhelmingly agreed on simple changes to the voting system that would allow it to be more function more democratically. Now, that is a huge thing. That this whole electoral vote thing got to go out the freaking window right now. And it truly does. It's very unfair.
Yeah, the electoral college, you mean?
Yes, it's got to go. It's just ridiculous. There's too many people. And there's too many people in those.
It was an archaic solution in the 1700s. It doesn't apply to our world today, and It's used, again, it's part of the broken old system to maintain power and control. Both parties use it, right? The whole system and the media and the corporations and the whole operation of US 2.0 is operating with all that in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying is, like, put it over here, turn the volume down, it's running, and then let's create the new. And yeah, let's transition to a whole new way of doing things based on that we all have about recreating our world and bringing forward healing and repair. This can be done. It's just people that were living at the time that do these revolutionary things. So we are the people living in our time right now. We are the ones that have this opportunity. So and everything you just said, that was the truth about the AIDS response, right? We got 80% agreement, like we should save lives. All those statistics that you read show about 75 to 80% of people agree on common sense solution. So why are we stuck in this quagmire of division? It's this system.
Yes, why? Indeed, why? Indeed. I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It really, seriously doesn't. And it's just being forced into this little, get down there. As soon as someone raises their voice, it's like, squash that, do whatever they can to squash that, So I'm sure you're going to, run into a lot of opposition down the road now that this has come out,
Oh, yeah.
But God, I hope not. I truly.
Well, I talk about being a trim tab of love. And it's about taking a stand and centering with love at the center, and in the face of opposition and resistance. And sometimes by all of us, or a group of many of us, being trim tabs, we can somehow face that opposition, and then the whole thing will shift. So it can be tough, and it's not easy, but it's what I feel called to do, and it sounds like you are as well. You're getting a lot out of the book, so I'm really excited about that. You really inspired me greatly. Yeah.
I
wanted to offer, before we wrap up, I do have a poem in the front of the book called Revolutionary Optimism.
Oh, you're trying to read.
I really enjoy reading it. If you're willing to
go for it.
It's your turn.
I don't have to do it now. I mean, we're still.
No. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You said it. You're doing it. Get the glasses on. Here, you want mine?
No, I can read it without my glasses. I'm learning about spoken word poetry, so I'm gonna
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
I'm breathing, and then I appear. Revolutionary Optimism, the poem. From my heart to your hearts. Love is the force of all life. We belong in this disruption. Our hearts beating strong, pumping compassion, our souls deployed. We chant our truths, demand bold action. We place love at the center with every step and each breath. In loving grace we stand. We choose love. Trim tabs of love in the face of opposition, in the eye of the sniper's rifle, in the face of arrest and torture, in the face of derision and denial, we choose justice. As sacred community, we are all in for all life. We protect all children. We stand for repair over destruction. Do you feel the trembling of a peaceful revolution? To honor our ancestors, ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, and all future generations, we liberate ourselves. We choose peace. Messengers of love, rise, synchronize, mobilize, unify, now. Brave angels, listen first and aim high. Pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Ride the waves of transformation for our blossoming redemption. We choose joy. With the rising tides of grief and terror, tears flow today and for all that is to come. Clear and safe, we are in this together as one. Boundaries dissolve between ages, classes, faiths, genders, races, from all places. Manifestors of love and justice, ignite the sparks within, raise the flames for all. We are willing to sacrifice, willing to live, and willing to die, for love is as fierce as death. As aquifers erupt as geysers, we flow into the streets. The people are rising like the waters, nurturing liberation. Miraculous vortex of healing and repair. Revolutionary optimism is spreading. Our collective heart is in sight. Rise, rise, rise. Thank you.
Freaking nice.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
I'm gonna clip that part. I'm gonna attempt to clip that part out of the show and put that one up.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. But when I first read that, I did not read that with that much emotion. So I'm glad that you read that.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really that just kind of hit a little, you know.
That's
It
that emotional
joy to read it and share it. It's like it's the feeling of it, you know.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's also like Gina says, when she read it, she didn't read it with that emotion. But the reason you didn't read it with that emotion was because it was his emotion, his words. So he was be able to up that one out.
Well, that was the beginning of the book too. So that was before I got all the emotional things that I was and going through too. You know, so you know maybe it should be at the refer to.
Read the rest of the book and then come back to the book.
Yeah, I could have put it at the end. That's a good point. But I actually did that on purpose. The reason was, like, I always like to start where I want to end, where I want everyone to end up at the end. So I want everyone to be in that state of, wow, we can do this.
Yeah.
And it's our possibilities, you know.
Yes. This is how you have your little RX things in there, just to show. It's so cute. I love it at the end of the chapter. I love the way you said stuff. Oh, the commitment thing too. I know I printed that out somewhere where you sign, and you said that you're committed to this. Like, did I print it out? Maybe I didn't print it out. I thought I did. But
yeah, I think the last practice is practice number 23, and step 7 is about making a commitment. And I talk about commitment throughout the book, but even in step 1, there's about making commitments. When you make a commitment, it's like magic can unfold and miracles can unfold. It's like you commit to something and you live into it. Like when you committed to getting married, for example, Gina, you talked about that. You don't know what your marriage is going to end up being like. You don't know. It's like you jump off the cliff into the unknown future, right? But you're committed. And that's what this is about too. So you're committed to creating a better world in whatever way you choose. Right. And then you live into that. And you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to unfold. That's what commitment is.
And if you have this thought, people out there, if you have this thought of what can change the world, this is your tool right here. This little pen, write it down. As soon as you write it down, it has some kind of magic power, right? That's the beginning. That's the spark. That's the first step there. And then you can go time. Step 1, right? And you guys got it. You got to get the book because it will inspire you. And it's not only just our political, mess of the world that we're in. It's everything. It's everything. Like he said about the people with the bad teachers and the board there and things like that. So you can use these steps. You can use these principles. You can do this stuff for places that you work, places in your family. It doesn't matter what the actual situation is. It's the process that works, you know. And once you do a little one, say in your family or, you know, whatever, or workplace, and you see that it works, then maybe say, well, maybe I will take this, because I've had this idea to make this better for how long now, since I was, you know, a kid. And it's like, well, you know what? Now's the time. Now is the time, though, for this book came out at the perfect time, because this is the time that this country is in crisis. You know, the world is in crisis. So this is perfect timing. I got to give you every props that I can give you for writing it. I thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to ask you, do you have any last words? Because now we are down to the end, to our people for more inspiration.
Thank you so much, Gina and Mama D. I really enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot, and you both have inspired me as well. And so I'm available to support anyone that is on the journey of exploring revolutionary optimism. You can email me through my website, drpaulzeitz.org. I'm really here to serve. And so I appreciate this opportunity. And I think I've said a lot. And I hope that we can join forces. We can unify to create a better world right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And I got to say, you know, thank you for getting me out of my funk that I was in. And I apologize if I seemed very, very harsh at the beginning. It was just my day. And now I could not be more motivated, and I could not feel any better. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Let me just, a little comment here. For some reason, we lost all the link from chats in Facebook. So I do apologize to everybody. Don't know what happened. We'll figure it out before the next show comes in. But, and I've been keeping track, and we've had a few interest, you know, people keep popping in going, yep, that's interesting. It's important. So you have reached a good few people.
Oh, there is 2 new comments. Oh, that was you. Okay. Oh, I get back to my movie here. All right, so we're going to say goodbye. We are going to have next week Alejandra G. Brady, and we are going to be talking about her book, I Just Can't Make This Shit Up. If you want to know about that, then tune in next week and you'll find out. It's pretty cool. And again, thank you. And hang with us just for a minute here, Paul. We're going to say goodnight to you all. And please, 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 for the love of all of us, share the show.
Yep.
And buonanotte.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests or our own intuitive oracle card reading shows. We are streaming live on Facebook on my personal page and our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, on Mama D's YouTube channel, Angel Meadows, as well as our audio-only venues. We hope you enjoyed our show and our guest or your reading, and we would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, share, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.